This morning on a special edition of The Dish, we drop by a 6-course dinner featuring the flavors of both South Korea and the American Southwest. But food was only part of the attraction. Jamie Wax is here with the ingredients for a very special meal.
Good morning, Rena. For Chef Jae Jung, the meal is a lifetime in the making. She recently participated in a month-long dining experiment that converted a New York City school cafeteria into a fine dining room. It's called Story Course, and its creators felt that Chef Jae's life had all the ingredients for a new type of dining experience. Chef Jae Jung has worked in some of America's greatest restaurants.
This is a 7-grain rice for the rice dish.
From August in New Orleans to La Bernardin in New York.
Have you guys done this one?
But on this night, she's preparing the meal of her life in a school cafeteria. What is it about chefs that makes their stories great? Every chef seems to have a great story.
I think it's more about childhood, things that you grew up with. You will never forget about it.
Her story, dubbed How Do You Hug a Tiger, tells of Chef Jae's journey against her mother's wishes from South Korea to America to become a chef. You call your mom a tiger mom.
Yes.
Can you tell me what that means?
She's a very strong, intense person. Korean moms are pretty tiger mom, but she's a super tiger mom.
My mom is crazy. Very intense person.
But she was my inspiration.
Each chapter is revealed through diners reading from a script, which is followed by a course.
I went to sleep watching her through my window, stirring that chili sauce on the rooftop under the stars.
Chapter 1, the chili sauce Jae would watch her mother make morning and night on the rooftop of their apartment.
So, for course 1, I give you the most Koreanist dish that this Korean ever Koreaned.
Chiljolpan is 7 essential Korean ingredients wrapped in a crepe and topped with her take on the rooftop sauce. You can't call this a meal, what you've put together, right?
Yeah, it's hard. It's like, do we call it a dinner? Is it a theater experience? Is it a story? Is it a show?
Story Course was conceived after Adam Cantor, who's currently on Broadway in The Band's Visit, and Brian Bourdain, whose Dinner Lab experiment put diners in direct contact with up-and-coming chefs, were introduced by a mutual friend.
We were actually fortunate enough to host a Passover Seder that was really interactive, and it was through this, telling the story of Exodus, this migration story, and looking at ways to bring it to life.
We're living in New York City. It's a city that is so filled with amazing immigrant chefs from all over the world, and they're often cooking somebody else's vision, someone else's story. So we were thinking about how can we excavate those stories and allow for like a beautiful, delicious 6-course meal.
For their first story, they settled on Chef Jae, who first met Bourdain when they were both living in New Orleans.
I've known Jae for over 5 years, and I kid you not, it wasn't until Adam started interviewing her and talking to her that I actually felt like I got to like know her on such a different level.
Yeah, I mean, we just spent hours and hours like on my couch just really digging into her story, and on a deep level, she really went to some vulnerable places.
Chapter 3, Yearning Beyond, explains how Jae's mother wanted more for her daughter than life in the kitchen. They didn't want me to be a chef like my mom. In Korea, chefs aren't seen like doctors, lawyers, etc. That's what they wanted for me, to get back to how we were before the war, to make them proud. But why can't I pursue my dreams, I would say? Why? Chapter 4, The Slap, reenacts the dramatic moment when Jae tells her mom she'd been accepted to the Culinary Institute of America.
This part of the story is burned into my brain. She slapped me.
And was slapped in the face. So in course 4, diners are asked to slap a cracker over an egg with a spoon. How important is it, no matter how much creativity you put into it, who the collaborators are, that the food is really excellent?
Oh, we were really trying to make sure that the performative elements and the culinary elements worked in service of each other.
So you're going for the Michelin star and the Tony Award.
Yeah, I don't know if we're eligible for this for either.
For either.
Mama, make it rain.
Yet, after a musical number, Chef Jae appears to explain that while she never got a hug from her mom before leaving for America, her mom did send $20,000 Jae desperately needed to stay in school and fulfill her dream. What do you think your mother would think of this evening that we're sharing?
She doesn't know the whole thing, 100%. She doesn't know all the conflict part, and she wouldn't be so happy. But thank God it's in English.
She doesn't need to know.
No.
Over the course of 8 meals, approximately 40 diners a night have been moved by Chef Jae's story.
That's my own rooftop sauce.
Even after forking over $175 for a seat at the table, proving there is a hunger for this type of dinner theater. Why do you think audiences now are seeking out deeper, more interactive experiences in everything that they do?
It's a good question. I mean, obviously our world is becoming more and more technological. We're glued to our phones. We're becoming isolated in so many ways. So an experience around food that brings people together, I think, is essential today.
Cantor and Bourdain are currently working on their next story course with Chef Behzad Jamshidi, chronicling his parents' dramatic escape from the Shah's regime in Iran.
Wow. I love this concept, Jamie. I want to know, did she ever get that hug?
Well, she got a hug from me that night after I ate her pork belly. But yes, actually last November, she was leaving Korea to come back to America, and her mother was in tears, and she just went for it and gave the hug and got the hug that she's been searching for her whole life.
Glad to hear that. This gives new meaning to the phrase dinner theater, Jamie.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.